Hey New York City home buyers and sellers, it is June, we are headed into summer, and it is time for us to look at our Manhattan monthly market report and see what's happening in the real estate market here. I can tell you that nothing you may think is happening is happening. It's very interesting and it's very exciting. I'm Dewey, I'm your New York City real estate agent and a resource to help you understand how to navigate Manhattan real estate. And please take a moment to like and subscribe to this channel for all the great content. And also, if you're interested in talking about your particular home buying goals, hit the link below, schedule an appointment for a call with me. I promise I'm super easy to talk to. All right, let's get started. Two things I like to remind my viewers about when it comes to a Manhattan market report. It's very broad strokes. And why is that? Well, number one, New York City is unlike any other real estate market in the US. We are very unique because of the building structures that we have and the kinds of buying processes that go on here. So we do not match whatever's happening out there. 99% of the time, we just don't match it. So if you hear things on the news like, oh, the real estate market is terrible, this is happening in the housing market, what have you, don't listen to that for Manhattan. Check out specifically what's happening in Manhattan because we are such a unique market. Number two, Manhattan is a market of neighborhoods and a market of micro markets. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, that means that when we're talking about Manhattan, it is a very broad general stroke in terms of the data that I'm going to give you. We boil down to neighborhood because something in one neighborhood that's exactly the same in another neighborhood is going to be very different prices for a whole bunch of different reasons, right? But more specifically than that, we are a market of micro markets, which means each building is its own vertical market. So if you really want to know what's going on, you have to drill down to the market, to the neighborhood, and then drill down to the building to really understand what's going on with a particular unit that you may be interested in. All right? So, but for Manhattan market report, we're doing broad strokes. All right, so let's get started here. So first thing we look at is the supply. It is up 2.9% from last month, and that's up 29.8% from last year. And if we look at the historical chart, you can see here that we took a big dip. You see that big spike in, just after 2020 into 2021. That happened, and it was really exciting. We were selling and buying like gangbusters, and then we did a natural drop. And you see a pretty big dip there at the beginning of 2022, and that is solely because of all the interest rate hikes, right? Everyone had to get used to the interest rates and see where the interest rates were going to go. But now we're actually back to a very normal supply, if not just above what supply should be this time of year. Spring is one of the busiest listing seasons, right? And it started off very slow this year, but now we're really at the top of it. So it's going to be interesting to see if supply continues to tick up or if supply is going to be seasonal like a normal year and start going down in the summer. But for right now, up 2.9%, can't really complain about that. All right, let's look at the pending sales. Wow, up 9.4% from last month, and that's up a whopping 37.4% from last year. So if we look at the chart, we are looking very, very good. You can see that we're sort of at the top end and climbing toward the top end with pending sales of what would be a very normal to high end data point, right? So look at that spike again. You see that in 2020, that was us going like gangbusters. That was us really doing a lot of sales. And then you see the dip, but look how we've come back up. So there's lots going on in the market. There are lots of things going to contract. All right, so now let's look at liquidity. Liquidity in the market. Now let me explain this. This chart shows a 30-day window, and it's a 30-day moving window. So today's June 1st, so let's say from May 1st, although that would be technically 31 days, right? But if it was, June 5th, then from May 5th, we look at the 30 days to look at what has gone into contract, how many deals have been signed, and that way we can look and say, is it a liquid market or is liquidity very low? Well, look again here, and I love this chart again from our friends from Urban Digs because they mark what the neutral liquidity there is. See that gray area? Neutral liquidity means a perfectly fine market. We're on the top of that. We're on the top end of that. Look at that. And we're trending up still a little bit. So the question is going to be, is the market going to continue to be liquid through the summer, or are we going to experience sort of the summer dip and wait till fall again? Very, very interesting, because usually by this time we're beginning to trickle down in a normal season. Here we are at the beginning of June, and we're really upticking in every way. So up 7.8% and up 76.4% from last year. Those are really good, solid numbers when it comes to liquidity. All right, and finally we have the market pulse. Now this is a direct ratio from pending sales to supply, and we get a number. The closer to 1 that the number is, we consider ourselves in a seller's market. The closer to 0, we consider ourselves in a buyer's market. And we're at 0.42. Right? And that's up 7.7% from last month, and oddly enough, up 7.7% from last year. So what does that mean? Well, if we look at the chart here, you can see that we're right in the middle of a neutral market, but trending a little bit up. So it is a good, solid, normal market. We're not leaning heavily on the buyer side. We're not leaning heavily on the seller side. We are just in a good, solid market, which means things are buying and being sold, and things are very, very healthy and normal in the Manhattan market. So what does that mean going forward? Well, as I say, none of us have a crystal ball, so none of us know exactly what is going to happen. But we have seen that interest rates are sort of settling out, right? People who are younger in the markets and maybe didn't experience interest rates that were much higher are beginning to wrap their heads around the fact that, 6.5, that's sort of normal if you look at a 50-year interest rate chart. So we're getting used to the idea that interest rates are going to be higher. People have adjusted their budgets. Sellers are beginning to adjust their price. Very important, because a lot of sellers were pricing things from last year when we were going gangbusters, right? And that's not what the market can handle. So sellers are beginning to price a little bit better. Buyers are beginning to understand what their budgets are going to be and how the interest rates are going to work, and we're sort of meeting in the middle, which is causing this nice neutral balance of things. The question is, will that continue? Well, usually during the summer, it takes a little bit of dip with listings. Buyers usually can get a little bit better of deal. Sellers who may have been on the market for a little while start slashing their prices to try to move some inventory. But because all these numbers are ticking up at the end of May and into the 1st of June, we're not sure what's going to happen, but whatever is going to happen is going to be very interesting. If the numbers continue to tick up, then I think that by the time fall comes around, whenever we'll be back into a traditional selling season, I think that we're probably going to move on to a seller side. I think that there'll be more supply to come on. I think it will move pretty quickly. A lot of buyers who've been waiting will snatch up those apartments, and we'll probably get into a higher market pulse. That's what I think is going to happen, and I think that most of the people who are analyzing these charts would probably agree. But again, who knows? That's what's exciting about the Manhattan market. So I hope that this was informative for you. Again, please hit the like, subscribe button if you haven't already. And certainly, if you'd like to talk about your specific situation, whether you're a buyer or if you'd like to sell your current home and move into something else, please just hit the link below, schedule a call with me. Let's talk about it and make a plan. And thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.